Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in on you. I hope that you've had a great day up until the day. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you are capping off an awesome week last week and preparing to enter into a splendid week this week. No matter where you were last week, no matter where you are today, no matter what has happened, remember you always have that reset button. You sit up and things become overwhelming when there's too much going on, when you can't seem to see above all of the noise or hear clearly above all the noise. You can press that reset button. Start from that point, refocus, recenter yourself, reestablish the fact that there's absolutely nothing you're going to face that you haven't been built for. And from that place, you start over, you settle yourself. And as you settle yourself, your ability to think and to create will be more evident because you are designed to be a creator. You're designed to be someone who can use their imagination to create things that don't yet exist. A lot of times we get caught up in the notion of the answer being something based on our current knowledge or our current understanding. And many times when you are trying to rise to the next level, the things that you need to understand have not yet been inculcated into your psyche. In other words, the way you rise above your current state is to discover. Um, if you are a religious person, you may call it revelation. If you are a person that is more centered in a spiritual idea of what is, you may call it enlightenment. But it is the highest state of existence. It is the place where you and God are one and one, and you are literally learning from the mind of God what you need to understand and what you need to do. Everything that we're living in now today that we take for granted was once simply an idea passed from God to man. And it doesn't always come along the lines of religious qualifications. In other words, it's a bunch of people out there that was able to make that connection that you wouldn't necessarily consider uh, godly. And so you have to understand that the answer is there. There's absolutely nothing you're going through right now that God does not hold the answer to. But when you become frenetic and unglued, when you become shaken, when you become disturbed to the point that you are anxious and stressed, you shut down your prefrontal cortex, you shut down your frontal lobe. That's where all the things happen. That's where you have the ability to write the narrative. That's where you have the ability to set the direction. And what happens is you're on instinct now. You're on survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, the only thing that you can do is behave on instinct. And if you haven't been trained to take on what you are facing, your instincts won't work for you. You have to be able to settle yourself. So whatever it is you're dealing with, I'm here today to tell you that if you settle down, if you take a few moments to breathe, if you start to remind yourself that I have a connection with God, I have a purpose in this place, I'm built for this. No matter what it is you're facing, you're going to realize that the answer is there. The answer is always there. And I'm going to share some things with you. I'm going to share some stories with you. I'm going to share some things, and it's not going to take long, but I'm going to share them with you, and I'm going to tell you that this climb to something greater in life, whether it's in your relationships, your marriage, your parenting, your friendships, it's whether it's in your business, whether it's in your goals to improve yourself financially. What you have to understand is this is a lifelong continuum where you're advancing and then you're meeting opposition and you may be moved back, you may be moved forward. But what you have to understand is it is never a situation where you're going to circumvent the struggles and vicissitudes and challenges of life. It's not that. You're not going to win because you were able to avoid the challenge. You're going to win because you were able to push forward despite the challenge. And that's something that you have to have set in your mind. You have to have an understanding that no matter where you're at right now, you can get to where it is you want to go. If you recenter yourself, there's nothing that can stop you. The very definition of destiny, I've shared this with you before, says that the more that someone or something tries to stop it, it only ensures that it happens. Let me explain it to you a different way. All of the oppositions and challenges that you're seeing in front of you now are a part of your destiny. It's a part of your journey. It's only there to ensure that you rise to the next level to meet the next challenge. So you're going to have to face some difficulty. You're going to have to face some setbacks. You're going to have to face your worst fear. I've been there. Trust me. But I want to share that with you. If you haven't, before I get into it, if you haven't gotten Critical Mass, get this book. It's the 20th book that I've written and published, but it is the first in a 6-book series that I'm unleashing over the next year and a half. I'm going to do it quick. So in the next 18 months, you're going to get five more books. The next one dropping in a week or so. I am, and then you're going to get 4 more after that. And those books are going to be the core elements of what you need in order to rise to the next level. It's not magic, so just reading it is not going to get it done, but it's going to open up to you all the possibilities and all the different things. And we're going to break down simple elements. We're going to talk about the 7 universal laws, how they apply to life, how you can use your understanding of them to literally write your destiny, what declaration means. When you speak something into your life, what does it mean? How does it manifest? All of that, but starts right here with Critical Mass. The link is in there, get it. There are some other offers and opportunities for those who want to work with me. Also for those who are looking to start a digital business, I'm doing one-on-one master classes. I haven't booked up yet, but because they're one-on-one, it's only so many people I can take. If you want to get an idea, you can read about it here. If you want more information, you can email me directly. The email address is in there. And for those who are ready to get set up and get started, you can get started as soon as you contact me and we get the ball rolling. We'll set the first date and you'll get to understand this is going to be a total of 60 days, 3 weeks to the launch, and then another 60 days of consultation and guidance to get you up and going. I don't care what business it is, you can do it online, and there's a way to get it done. This doesn't have to be your dream business. It doesn't have to be the one thing you're passionate about. You can have multiple businesses, especially when you set them up and you create a way for them to operate on autopilot. And I'll teach all of that in this process. But if you're interested in that, if you're interested in starting a digital business, it can be something as simple as being an affiliate. It can be something as simple as selling products that you didn't create and drop shipping them, import, export, consultation businesses, all type of service-based businesses, which require a little upstart. If it's a service-based business, you get paid to deliver the service, and you can literally promote it without having to run ads. Obviously, it's not going to be as effective as running ads, but if you don't have it, you have to start somewhere and you have to put in the work. You have to be diligent. This isn't magic. It's not going to happen overnight, but if you put in the work and you remain consistent, there's too many platforms that you can use based on what you want to do to get yourself out there. And I teach all of that. And so if you want to, get to me on that. Now, let's talk. Normally, I try to do the motivational stuff, the inspirational stuff early in the morning, get people started on the radio, because how you start your day is absolutely important to how your day goes. That's why I prime myself every day. The first 30 minutes of my day are dictated and set up. First and foremost, wake up in the morning, establish gratitude. You've heard me say this a million times. I have so much to be grateful for. Do I have things that are going on in my life that I want to change because I'm not happy with it? Absolutely. If you don't, something's wrong. But when you wake up every morning and you get to roll over and you look at the person that you're absolutely in love with, that you are doing a great deal of what you do for, and you see them take their breath and say, I got them for one more day. You get up, that's gratitude. When you look at the fact that you've been entrusted with young lives to shape that are in your house, under your roof, that's something to be grateful for. When you look up and you're taking breath and saying, hey, I've got another opportunity to do something great, to make an impact on this world, to do something outside of myself, that's something to be grateful for. Gratitude creates this unbelievably powerful force in your entire state, not just emotional, not just mental, not just spiritual, but I mean physically as well. It puts you in a good place. You know, there's prayer, there's meditation, there is declaration that I speak into my life and into the life of my wife and my children. Each and every day, I have this session. I don't pick up my phone and open it. You know, I pick it up because I have to turn off the alarm, but I don't open it for at least an hour. I'm setting the state. I'm not allowing any information or data or situations or conditions to bombard me in the morning before I establish that this is my life to live, that God gave me, and I'm living it on purpose. and that I'm not going to be deterred by distraction, deterred by problems and situations, that I know that if I'm facing something, God has already prepared me for it, either through the design of my makeup or through the experiences I've been through, and that's where I'm starting. So it's really important that you have an understanding of who you are and where you are. Start your day off with an understanding. Get in the right mindset, because I'm going to tell you something. Yes, the people who have known me for the longest have seen where I started and what I've been through, what I've done. And I don't talk a lot about it. You know, people know because I talk a lot about my books being published and that's out there. They know that I have the Visionetics Institute. They know that I have Odyssey Media Group. They know that I have Master Fitness 21. They know that I sit as the Dean for the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Dean for the School of the Ministry of Health and Wellness at Array of Hope Theological Seminary. They know a bunch of things, but they don't know half of what I've done, because I don't really talk a lot about it, but I've been able to do some things. But let me tell you something. Unlike a lot of people who come out and they take the pictures with the cars, they take the pictures with the house, then they tell you, this is what I did. And then they never show you the struggle. They never show you how many times they didn't get it right, how many times that they had to start over, how many times that there was nobody in that room but them, because everybody else had folded up and said, man, it ain't gonna happen. And they are the only ones sitting there trying to work through it and figure it out. See, I wanna tell you something. This isn't some magical equation. This is life saying, you're going to have to impress your will upon me. You're going to have to believe against all hope. Listen now, you're going to have to believe against all hope that what you are demanding of me will come to you. Because it's not that I'm not going to relinquish it to you, but I'm not going to give it to you through lackadaisical demands. In other words, life says you can have whatever you demand of me, but you're going to have to meet my demands. And see, most people aren't willing to meet the demands of life. Most people aren't willing to go through what I've been through to have some of the things I have. Most people aren't willing to sit up and persevere through those dry moments and truly trust that the work they're putting in and that they're planning. Let me tell you something. We talk about seed planting a lot, especially people who have religious backgrounds. What you sow, you reap. You know, people talk about karma. You put it out, good or bad, it comes back the way you put it out. But when you talk about seed planting, sowing gives a little bit more insight into it than just speaking the spiritual dynamic of karma, which is more about energy than anything else. But let's look at the dynamic of seed planting. See, what I learned growing up with my great-grandparents, people who literally were born at the turn of the century, one in 1909 and one in 1917, I grew up with a garden in the backyard. I grew up visiting aunts and uncles who had farms, I saw a lot of planting happening in my lifetime. You know, my grandmother's flower bed didn't have flowers. It had collard greens and bell peppers and all kind of other stuff in it, because she planted all the greenage and that we ate was planted in the yard. And so I saw different seeds and I saw seasons. I want you to really pay attention to what I'm telling you, because I'm giving you life in an analogy that you can understand. I saw seeds planted, and I saw what really makes sense to me now. I saw different gestation periods. What's that? See, from the moment that you plant the seed and then the seed comes to bear, it comes to the point of where it's ready to be harvested, where whatever you planted has now grown and it has ripened, and it's time for you to take of the fruit that you planted. There's a gestation period from the point of planting to the point of harvesting, and each seed has a different gestation period. I learned that when you plant a rose bush, the gestation period isn't that long, that within a few weeks, a month, you're going to have what you look for, and then it's going to cycle out. There are going to be seasons where it's barren, and then there'll be seasons where, again, it sprouts and blossoms. But if you plant an acorn, you're going to take a long time before you see any reason to believe that what you planted is going to bear fruit, that is going to come to bear, that it's going to produce. But when it does, you have something that will not bear, that will not go barren in certain points of the year. It may shed leaves, but the tree itself stays in it holds it holds form, and it gets stronger and it gets bigger and stronger over time. It's still bearing out. 50 years from the day that it planted, it hasn't finished delivering what was planted. But the gestation period was longer. So when you want something that is going to be solid and huge, and you are planting a seed, you can't expect it tomorrow or next month or next week. And even it may be several years, 4 or 5 years down the line. And see, we can't see that long because we live in a microwave society. We live in a society where if it doesn't happen now, it can't happen. And so we miss on so much depth. Everything is superficial. And you know, if you plant something and it's superficial and it doesn't dig down deep and dig deep roots, that it's easily uprooted and you don't have it for long. You're grabbing at things and you're trying to get things. You're not committed to the long term because you can't see that far. You're looking for something. That's not how it works. It works by understanding, if I want something strong, if I want something big, if I want a great and awesome marriage, I've got to be willing to put in the work and watch it take root and watch it dig in and build it from scratch and take it. If I want great, strong finances, I can't do get rich quick schemes. I can't do one-click $1,000 schemes. I've got to sit up and say, I might be building something that might not even come to profit for the next 3 to 5 years. But I've got to understand that if it's something that I've been given, if I can see it in a vision, God made this thing real easy if you really pay attention to it. See, I don't know anybody that claims God that doesn't see God in some way as being benevolent. Well, then this should be simple for you. If you believe that God is benevolent, you believe that God designed you, if you believe that in all of this thing, that there is this benevolent God in the midst of this, then the first thing you have to believe is that he designed you to win, that God designed you to win. That would be the first thing. The next thing that you have to look at and understand, that if you believe that God designed you, is that he would never design you to be able to imagine something that you could not have if it was good for you. So in other words, the fact that you can imagine it in your mind, or as I like to say, if you can conceive it in your mind, that's God's evidence to you that it's possible. It's that simple. God will not allow you to have something in your mind that your heart yearns, but you can never have. You got to think about this now. I mean, God is a benevolent God. He doesn't get off in your suffering. No matter what nobody's told you, that is never God's will for you to suffer. Now, some things happen because people have free volition. People make choices. People put young children in bad situations. And life will play out based on those decisions. But never believe that it's God's desire for you to suffer. So God will never implant in you the ability to see something you can never have. So the first thing you got to realize is that if I can see it in my mind and it's going to be good, not just for me, but for other people that I come in contact with, because I'm always thinking bigger than just me. I'm looking for how I can bless my family. I'm looking for how I can bless the world. Then it can't be withheld from me. If I can conceive it, I better believe it. I want you to pay attention because I'm getting to the principle of provision. Because, see, some of us get caught up in the throes of life. We get caught up in the difficulty. We get caught up in the struggle. We get caught up in the setbacks, and we start to believe that delay means denial. But I've come to understand and learn that when delay is in place, it's setting you up for something greater than you even expected. But it's going to demand, see, you heard me say earlier, that life will pay whatever price you demand of it, but you're going to have to meet the demands of life. See, when you sit up and you set something out there, life is saying, I got you. But this is what it's going to require. I've had people come to me, Doc, I want to save my marriage. I want to be a better husband. And I lay it out for them, you know, one thing you're going to have to do, you're going to have to start spending so much time with your friends and spend it with your wife and your kids. and they'll sit up and say, okay, woo. And then they'll even do it, but they do it with the mindset of they shouldn't have to. Because I do this, this, and this, I should be able to go spend time with my friends. No, you got to sit up and want the blessing. See, just because you got the blessing and just because you're carrying out your part of the covenant doesn't mean that you get to ignore their part of carrying out their part of the covenant. And that means you're not honoring it. If you sit up and you got a wife that's taking care of your kids, taking care of your home, and this flips on both sides. It's just not the men, it's the women too, but I'm using something that really happened. I said, you're going to have to stop spending so much time. You're spending 3 and 4 nights a week with your homeboys. And he was like, well, Doc, I'm a sole provider. I'm out there, I take home. She don't have to worry about nothing. Oh, yes, she does. She's worrying about clothing your kid, changing your kid, getting your kid off to school, making sure your home is clean, making sure that when you get home, you got a good meal to eat. You ain't getting the free exchanges. She's working on what she is built to do, and you're working on what you're called to do, and you're meeting together. You owe it to, but see, at first he didn't get it. He did it, but he did it out of reluctance. And then it got worse, and he came back to me and he was hot. Why? I did what you told me to, and it didn't turn out the way that I wanted to. Here's why it didn't turn out. See, when you set up in your mind to do something, it's not just about you doing it. It's about aligning your thinking with it so that you know you should be doing it and you want to do it and you see the power in it and you're not doing it from a place of reluctance. Doing things from a place of reluctance or bitterness will turn out worse than if you hadn't done it at all. You got to come to it. So I said, no, you've got to come to the understanding of understanding who this woman is in your house and what she means to your legacy. She is the greatest representation of your legacy. She is what people are going to look at when they sit up and discern what you were as a man when you leave this place. Your friends are good. It's good you have friends, but they can't measure. They don't even need to be on the same plane with her. You're going to have to rethink this thing. You're going to have to come to a point of understanding just how powerful this woman is in your life. And then when he finally got it, he came back and he's like, Doc, oh my God, I've never even knew love could be like this. No, because somebody told you that being the provider gave you a free key to life to do whatever you wanted to do, and you forgot your commitment to your wife. Well, the same thing is you got to understand that when you're sitting up and you're creating and you're growing and you're doing things, you got to line your mind up with what it is you're doing, and you got to believe it, even against hope. What do I mean when I say believe against? When hope is moving against you in the opposite direction. When everything you see, hope comes with some evidence. That's what faith is. Faith is the substance of the things you hope for. When you're operating on faith, you're operating on making the belief the substance that causes you to hope. Well, see, when you're sitting up and you're looking at tangible things to establish hope, a lot of times your hope is moving in a negative direction. What do I mean? When you sit up and there's no physical evidence that what you believe should be happening is going to happen, you got hope moving against you. So now you got to believe against hope. See, there are going to be some times that your situation doesn't align with your faith. That's why you call it faith. There are going to be some times when everything you're looking at says no, and you got to believe yes. I'm going to tell you that the things that I've been able to accomplish on some astronomical levels, things that I didn't even think of when I was growing up would be possible, and just decided, you know what, I'm going after it. Every time I did it, I had to hope against hope. Because every time there was at least one moment when I looked at it and the circumstances said no. The circumstances says failure. The circumstances says you can't have it. And there had to be something inside of my spirit that was strong enough and believed hard enough that it disagreed with my circumstances. You got to get there. You got to become committed. You got to be committed on a level that it simply doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to the average person. The average person will probably tell you, you're not being realistic. No, I'm in a different zone than you are. You can't see my reality because you are letting other people box you in based on old paradigms. and you can't seem to shake it because you've been put in a position that you don't understand. I'm trying to get you to understand that I didn't get the things that I've got. I didn't get to 20 books by being told, yes, you're a great writer, everything, everybody's going to love you, and it's going to be awesome. Where do you want to sign? Here, sign up. I got there by saying no does not mean no to me. No means you don't want to do it. I'll find a way to get it done. I'm not going to bow down to the challenges of life. I'm going to rise to meet the occasion. Something I tell myself every morning, when I tell you I prime every day, something I tell myself every morning is that I elevate to meet every challenge, that I am committed to excellence, that I am adequately sufficient to meet every challenge. I know that I'm going to face some challenges. I know there's some challenges out there. When I look at them, they're bigger than me, but they're not bigger than my purpose. They're not bigger than my destiny. They're not bigger than why I'm here. See, I'm here to show people that life that they're living, they're not trapped in it. Poverty is not your lot in life. A bunch of people have been taught based on some simple ideas and situations that because of where they at and where they got started and what they've been through, they can't have a life where they can rise above all that they've been through. That they got a bad hand and this is what it's going to be. And I'm telling you, I don't care where you start. I'm telling you, I don't care what you've been through, that there is something greater, but you got to be willing to go after it. Now, here's the principle of providence. Providence is the provision to fulfill the purpose. Pay attention. Providence is the provision to fulfill the purpose. Now, first of all, you got to understand that when you're dealing with the supernatural, you cannot meet the demand of the supernatural with natural thinking. I need you to keep up with me. See, the supernatural is where you do things where normal people can't see it. It's not, there's going to be a point in time if you really walk this walk that the supernatural becomes natural. That you begin to speak things and call things that are not as though they were and watch them manifest without ever giving it a second thought. You're living in the supernatural. What other people call miracles, you call manifestation. It's going to be that way if you decide to live your life that way. When you decide that the circumstances don't dictate to you, that your purpose is the governing factor of what you're going to do in this world, and that God didn't give you a purpose of mediocrity, that you were given this life to live based on nothing but power. You start to understand, but see, there is a need for provision. And most people, if you're thinking in the natural, you'll never see the provision because the provision happens in the supernatural. Let's talk about the principle of providence. A guy by the name of William Hutchinson Murray made this statement a very long time ago. And it makes so much sense to me that I keep it on my wall. I have it in front of me. I'm going to break it down in two parts. And I'm going to teach from the first part, teach from the second part, then we're going to shut it down. Look, check this out. It says, until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, and always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is an elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves to. Let's look at it. It says that there's this one truth, and the ignorance of this truth kills countless ideas and splendid plans. And the truth is this, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, it is at that moment that providence moves. You are looking for providence without commitment. You want God to show you the answer and that it'll work before you'll commit to it. You need to see it laid out before you will accept it. For those of you who are Christian and read the Bible, you heard this story before. That's the same thing that the Israelites did at Jordan. God said, go over and possess it. No, whoa. You're going to do a little bit better than that, God. Wait a minute. It's giants over there. You know, and for those of you who are enlightened and all that and all this, think about the story because it can show up in every place in your life. I can name you 1,000 stories just like this, but I use it because it's one everybody knows. They're sitting there at the Jordan. God says, go over and take it. It's a land. They even went over and spied, sent 12 spies, came back. It's everything God said it was. So God still hasn't lied yet, has he? It's everything God said it was. Flowing with milk and honey, just unbelievable. They brought back these huge grapes to show. But at the same time, all of a sudden, they saw giants. See, some of y'all are seeing giants now. See, they're giants over there. And then we're like grasshoppers. We can't take it. And then, if I'm not mistaken, this is Numbers chapter 14, if I'm not mistaken, verse 28. God tells Moses, I've heard they're complaining against me. I find it interesting that God in this situation took their lack of faith as a complaint against him. Be careful. God took their lack of faith as a complaint against him. And then he says, so go back and tell them from me that as they have spoken in my hearing, so shall I do. What you have demanded of life, you will get. What you're expecting from life, you will get. What you're expecting from God, you will get no more than that. A lot of you are expecting failure. A lot of you expect, but here's the thing. What they wanted from God was for God to go fix everything so they could easily look at it and see how they were going to win. That's not faith. That's reason. See, faith transcends reasons. Faith transcends fact. A lot of you are looking at the facts and you've set aside faith. I'm trying to tell you that when I look at the things that I did in my life and that I'm doing in my life, and I see, man, I don't know too many people who have done this. I can look right behind it and see sacrifice. I can look right behind it and see where most people would have shut down and quit. I can look right behind it and see that there had to be a commitment beyond what I can reason. There has never been a time that I've achieved anything of value that I didn't have to fight for, that I didn't take some bumps and bruises, that I didn't experience setbacks and delays and disappointments. It took me 48 years to get my wife. To get to where I'm at right now, just with that, it took me that long. But see, we lose sight of redemption. And when I'm talking about redemption, I'm not talking about in the sense of religion. I'm talking about in the sense of the fact that just because you reach a certain age doesn't mean that life is over. We've been taught in this Western culture that 65 is a wrap. That you get 65, you're done. And I'm working on people who mentor me are in their 80s, vivacious, virile. I mean, just strong and doing things. Hell, one of the people everybody loves to talk about when it comes to finances. Sit up and you look at him and he is, I don't know what the thing is going on with Jeff Bezos right now. He was number one, way ahead, but I think he had to get half of that to the wife. I'm not sure where he's at now. But when you got man, I'm drawing a blank on these people's names. You got Bill Bates, and then you got Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett earned 99% of his wealth after he turned 50. 99%. Who says that it's over if you haven't gotten it done by 50? That's a lie. That's an absolute lie. But we didn't finish that. It says that once one has definitely committed oneself, then providence moves. In other words, God says, show me your faith. Show me your faith. Step out beyond what you can see. Step out beyond what you can reason. That's where magic happens. That's where the supernatural takes place. That's where things you never thought would ever happen start to take place. It's when you step out beyond what your mind can reason. See, what you can reason and what you can imagine are two different things. There's no limit on the imagination. And we are learning that if you can imagine it, you can have it. Now, I didn't say it was going to be easy. I didn't say that you weren't going to have difficulties. I didn't say that weren't going to be setbacks. See, that's the problem. We want everything handed to us. That was the problem with Israel. That's the problem today. If it's not handed to me, I'm not going to go out there and risk anything to get it. I'm going to stay back. And what's crazy about people who stay back in their corner of comfort is life comes and finds you anyway. So you sit up and play it safe, and life got you anyway. If life going to get me, it's going to get me swinging. It's going to get me going for the fence. It's going to get me trying to get everything God meant for me to have and be a representation. I mean, how can you really truly say you're a representative of this awesome and unbelievable God and everything you do is mediocre? How is that representing God? I have more respect for the man or the woman who is out there going all out and getting the crap beat out of them than the person who's sitting back and from the outside looks like everything good and they're not really trying. All that means is that life dealt you a little bit better hand than they dealt him or her. And you're living on that one hand still, resting on your laurels, never really pushing anything, never really going for it. I don't find anybody that you can read about in history, whether biblically or in the history books or anything, that didn't put some skin in the game in order to get their name in the eternal books of life and in history. When you go back down the annals of history, you find people that their names are still being spoken of, but they paid. But it says that providence starts to move after the commitment. One of my favorites, and I've studied. If it's a speaker that has had an immense impact on the world, I've studied them. I don't mean I've listened to them. I've studied them. I've studied everybody from Earl Nightingale. My grandmother bought me his LPs when I was a little kid. I practiced talking like him. Oh my God, I want a voice that deep. I never got a voice that deep, but I mean, in the Earl Nightingale, Bob Proctor, Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, Les Brown, and on and on. And some of my favorites now are Eric Thomas. I love the Passion AT. I love his story. If you don't know his story, you need to learn his story. Because everything that would have told you to shut down, he went through. And one of the top rated and highest paid public speakers in the business now. Started in his garage, doing videos in his garage for YouTube. What am I getting at? What I'm saying is, if you can see it, you start to speak it as if it is. So call things that are not as though they were. Okay, now let's move to the second part of this, and then we'll be done. All sort of things will occur to help you that would never otherwise have occurred. This, if you hadn't committed, have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision. That one decision to commit, a whole stream of things start to take place, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance which no man could have dreamt will have ever come his way. He finishes with this little statement. He says, I have learned a deep respect for one of Goethe's couplets, which says, whatever you can do or even dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. If you can even dream that it's possible, begin it. That's the commitment that he was speaking of earlier. Commit to it, begin it. It's the boldness in the commitment that shakes God's hands loose and releases the favor that makes things happen in your life. It's not about what you can see. It's not about what you can understand. It's about what you can believe. Many are being held in check by limited beliefs. Shake yourself free and commit to being the best you can be every day. Some days you're just going to make inch by inch progress, but it's progress. Measure the progress, celebrate the progress. Stop looking for only screaming and celebrating the home run, the 90-day goal, the 6-month goal, the year goal. Read a chapter and celebrate. Why? Because that chapter opened up some new neural pathways in your brain that is ready to house a belief that you couldn't house yesterday. You should be reading something every day that opens up your mind and your expectations of what God can do in your life every day. Look, I'm about to shut down, but I was trying to work. I was trying to get to y'all this morning, and a lot was going on. And then I felt the urge to spend some time with baby, and so we left to go grab something to eat. And I got back, and I had to catch up. And I was just sitting here, and then the crazy, I said, man, I've got to do this. And right when I got to do it, got ready to do it, I got a text message that tried to snatch my mood. It was something I wasn't expecting, came out of the blue. But the thing is, it was something I needed to share with the wife. But here's the thing. Before I went and shared it, I sat down and I thought, set the reset. You built for this. What seems to be a setback is going to ultimately be just one of the things that's going to turn out in your favor. I'm not talking about any mystical religious thing. I'm talking about really truly having a relationship with God to the point that you communicate. I ask people all the time, because 99.9% of the people I watch pray, they talk the whole time. From the moment they sit down and get on their knees or sit in their chair or bow their head, they're talking. And my question is, when are you listening? When are you just quiet? See, that's prayer too, but people don't get it. You're talking. I need this. I need you. Make sure that your prayers, first of all, aren't complaints. Oh my God, this happened, and oh my God, that happened, and I can't. No, 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 no. See, you complain when you don't have power to change something. When you have power to change it, you're talking about solutions, not complaining about the problem. But when are you listening? That's why I break mine down into prayer and meditation. I talk, then I get quiet, and I listen. And mine's probably not going to look like the average person who is highly churched and religious, because that's not where I'm at. And I don't judge anybody, do you? But you better have some connectivity and understanding of this dynamic, or you're going to feel helpless. There's no darn way in the world that you have a God that's infinitely powerful, infinitely intelligent, has an understanding and a consciousness that knows everything at all times, and you're sit up stumped by the problems you're facing. You're so stumped by it that you're upset about people who have overcome it. No, that's not living. That's surviving. That's letting life define who you are, instead of letting God's design be the definer. See, I was built for this. I haven't met anything in my life that I had to face that I wasn't built for. And I've been through some things. I've had some difficult moments. I've had setback upon setback, but I've also been to the mountaintop. I've seen what it looks like to win. And once you've been there, nothing else seems or sounds or feels the same. What am I trying to get? I'm trying to get you to understand that you're not trapped in poverty. You're not trapped in devastating and dark relationships. You're not trapped on a job you hate. I'm pretty sure you can find a job you love. But you got to be willing to trust the movement. See, people don't want to trust movement. Everybody wants life to get to this nice little place and sit still. I like it here. It feels good here. Don't move. That's not progress. That's hiding from your destiny. What you got to be willing to understand is something my grandfather taught me a long time ago. Son, you're going to be in one of three places. Wow. You're going to be in one of three places in this life. You're going to either be going into a storm, in a storm, or coming out. Don't let anybody tell you that life is any different. Life isn't about ease. Life isn't about comfort. Life is about how you navigate the storm. Life is about how prepared you are in the storm. But most importantly, life is about making sure that when you come out of the storm, you're a better man than when you went in. He says, son, if you can figure that out, you won't have to chase greatness. It'll overtake you. Let the storm shape you. Don't fear the storm. Don't fear the storm, because what I can tell you is in my darkest moments was when I was closest to my creator. If I'm not mistaken, it was Solomon that said, God dwells in the darkness. I don't care where you're at, what faith you claim. The place that you fear the most, God's there. The place that you fear the most, God is there. You can't escape. God is, I say it every day. He's in me, around me, and I can call upon his mind for my every need. It's in me and around me, and it serves me. It's there for me. I can tap into it. There's no problem that there isn't a solution for. What's stomping you doesn't stomp the mind of God. With that being said, I'm going to get out of here. Wasn't actually planning on being here this long, but it had to be said. I tried to get through the day without coming with this because I started late, and I was like, nah, I need to get this caught up, and it wouldn't let me. And then when I was getting ready and I was hyped, check out how things work. I was hyped about doing it. Text message came. And I'm like, wow. But listen, no, it's not about how you feel. It's about the commitment. See, if I did what I felt, I wouldn't have came to y'all. See, if only one person that's hearing this gets it, I've won. See, it ain't about the numbers, it's about the impact with me. And so I sit up and I said, man, I ain't feeling it, but I'm gonna do it. And I know somebody, I can tell, it's all here. I can feel it in the deepest recesses of my soul, in my spirit. I can feel somebody is walking away feeling and knowing that what they thought was going to defeat them is not going to be able to destroy them, and that they can literally set a path towards winning. And if that happened, I'm good. But what if I would have just looked at what I could see at the moment? What if I let that set the stage? What if I let that be the dictator of what I did? Your problems can get pretty big, trust me. I've seen some things and I've been through some things in my life, but I have never seen a problem bigger than the power of God in me to overcome it. On that note, I'm gonna challenge you, live your life on full. Stop coasting, stop hiding. Live your life on full and down E. Don't take anything to the grave with you God gave you to use here. Not one thing. If you got a book in you, write it. If you got a message, speak it. If you got a talent, use it. Don't take it to the grave with you. Dr. Miles Monroe said that the cemetery is the wealthiest place in the world because you find books unwritten, inventions uncreated that haven't been created. Speeches never gone, sermons never gone. So many people with the ability gifted by God to impact the world that didn't use it. Don't be a contributor to that wealth. Pour that wealth out into people and it'll come back. That's what I'm gonna leave you with. You guys have an unbelievable day. I'm out of here.